Okay, a final look at some triplets now. We started with a few basic ideas and a little introduction as to what they were last time. I'm going to take that concept a little bit further and start investigating a few more things that you can do with triplets to make things a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to start with the eighth note triplet, just so I can show you against the quarter note pulse. Eighth note triplets sound like this. That's the basic flow of them. When you play triplets, triplets implies a group of three. That's exactly what it is, a group of three. So it makes you want to accent them in groups of three. It's the obvious thing to do. There's three eighth note triplets to each quarter note. Makes you want to put the accent on the first of each group of three. You don't have to do this. This is where triplets can start getting quite interesting. You can accent after each group of four. You're still playing triplets, but things will start to sound a little bit polyrhythmic and across the beat if you start doing things like this. So if we take some eighth note triplets without any accents in them, just played on the snare drum, sounds like this. Okay. Now what we can do, instead of accenting them in groups of three, we can put different accents within them. It starts to sound a little bit more strange. So I'm going to put an accent after four triplets instead of on the first of every third one. I'm going to put first on every fourth on every group of four. So sounds like this. Okay, starts to sound a bit weird. If you take the hi-hat away, showing you where the quarter note is, it's very difficult not to go with that new accent, and it makes you think that there's a different time going on when there's not really. You're just playing triplets. So you can phrase that, you can orchestrate that pattern as a fill. So an eighth note triplet fill in the context of a groove. Starts to make things sound a little bit strange and a little bit weird. So you can experiment with groups of triplets with accents in a different place to make things sound a little bit funny. Keeping on that theme, we can do that rhythmically as well. It doesn't just have to be in fills, which can make things sound completely different and way out. So if I start with a basic groove, you could have some fun with your bandmates doing this kind of stuff, just to confuse them if you like. Try not to do it on your next function gig, because you probably might alienate a few people on the dance floor, but something to play around with in your own time, definitely. So here's a basic groove, and then we're going to do some triplet stuff with it to make it sound a little bit different. Very basic groove. Real simple. Now I can take that groove. Basically what I've got is my kick and my snare taking alternate quarter notes. Okay. If I apply a triplet concept to that, and instead of making my kick and snare play alternate quarter notes, I make them play alternate quarter note triplets. It's going to sound really weird. I'll keep the hi-hat on eighth notes, so you can hopefully just zone into the hi-hat and hear what's happening. But I'll play the basic groove, then I'll shift the kick and snare to playing quarter note triplets, and then see what you think. Okay, so sounds pretty weird. Nice to put in as a little break, as a little fill, something like that. If you're doing it all the time, it can sound a little bit crazy, but pretty cool to have fun with, I think. And again, you can use the triplet, you can use that same kind of thing on the hi-hat. I was keeping the eighth note hi-hat going there. If I play that basic groove and then start playing eighth note triplets on the hi-hat, okay, sounds like this. Basically, I'll show that first of all. So I'm going to play that basic groove and then go to eighth note triplets on the hi-hat. Sounds like this. Now that in itself doesn't sound too weird. If I use that as my new pulse though, and then play the quarter note triplets on the kick and snare drum, it sounds like the whole thing has got faster. But I'm still in the original pulse. So the idea is this. I'll go from the basic groove, then playing the eighth note triplet on the hi-hat, and then I'll go with to the quarter note triplet on the kick and snare. Sounds like this. Okay, sounds pretty crazy. If we had a click running, or when you do it to a click in your practice, you should get more of a reference point. But that's just kind of taking triplets to a different place, having some fun with it. Okay, see you next time.